I think let's do it, Andrew. We got a small crew live today, but maybe a larger crew recorded later. But why don't you kick it off? You can run with it.
Sure. All right. Hey, everyone. We got a smaller crew today, 19 people. Very excited to hear from the Loot LARP team. We're going to kick it off with them. And, they've been working quietly for months now. And I can't remember, they might have been on Loot Town Square, like number 3 or 4 maybe, is the last we've heard from them. But they've got some exciting updates they want to share, possibly a video. And then we're going to hear from Danube and his project called Super Cool. And if anyone else, and that's really all we have on the agenda today, is these 2 projects.
We got the Avon Luton crew on too, though. We got Jesse here.
Avon Luton crew. There's Jesse. Okay, and the Avon Luton crew. So we have those 3 teams today sharing. If anyone else, wants to jump in at the end, as always, there is room for show and tell and sharing projects beyond loot. This is a smaller group than we normally have. So, like always, it's recorded. It'll be shared out to YouTube and to, it'll be shared out to YouTube and to, wherever you listen to your podcasts. As a reminder, Loot Town Square's weekly community call. It's a space for fans, builders, and players to come together and share ideas, tease projects, launch projects, ask questions, and geek out on all things loot. So, with that being said, let's kick it over to Loot LARP. What's up, guys?
Thanks, Andrew. Hi, everybody. Great to be here again. It's been a while. We missed y'all. Danube, just wanted to point out, love your name, Danube. So nice. So there's 3 things we wanted to talk about today. We've been pretty heads down building towards our big event and debut at NFT NYC in June. So on that front, we were in New York not long ago scouting out venues. For those of you who don't know, we're building an immersive real-life MMORPG, basically. So we're making physical items pulled from Loot Cannon. You need to have a Loot or an M-Loot to get them. But the physical items are interfaces that you use to literally play this immersive RPG. And the items themselves are embedded with Kong Halo chips, the same chips that Metafactory use. And that turns the items into signing interfaces, which allow you to basically, interact with other players, move through quests and whatnot. And so this big event at NFT NYC, we're planning kind of a 2-part experience. The first part is somewhat of a distributed game all around Times Square and Manhattan. And then it culminates in kind of a final act at a epic, mysterious venue that we're in the stage of kind of contracting with. So really excited to share that. Hopefully by next week we can even share pictures and give some more intrigue around that. The other 2 things we wanted to talk about. One, we are about to, we just submitted a Gitcoin grant, and we wanted to bring that up to the broader Loot community because we feel like it could be a great opportunity to get funds into the pockets of builders, especially because this community has so much in terms of just wonderful public goods that we build for each other. Even thinking of things like Loot Foundation or other kind of not necessarily directly NFT projects, but there's so much infrastructure that we've all built as a community, right? And so I think this cohort for Gitcoin runs another week. It's gitcoin.co. I'll share the link in general shortly, or maybe one of the other Loot LARP team can do that. But our grant hopefully will be going live in the next day or so. It just needs to go through the approval process. So it would be amazing to figure out a way for us all to maybe create a loot-themed collection. We'd be happy to take the charge on that if anybody else wants to submit a grant as well. The nice thing, so Gitcoin has this feature called Collections, if y'all are not familiar, where it's kind of like a curated list. So say like a few other projects wanted to apply for a grant and they got accepted as well. We could kind of all collectively crowdfund, right? And the nice thing about Gitcoin is, like, it's very similar to, say, GoFundMe or Kickstarter, where you're just like building hype and getting attention and doing a crowdfund, but there are these matching pools that are powered by, I guess, like quadratic voting or quadratic funding. And what that means is that you can apply to a variety of streams where if you have a donor who's giving like $1, that potentially could be matched with, $300 or $3,000, depending on how many other people are also donating, right? So it's a nice way to kind of, as a community, kind of create a rising tide that lifts all boats. I feel like I might have rambled through that, so I'll be in general to answer any questions about that. Feel free to DM me after. Happy to run anybody through the process if they're interested. And we'll be sharing all the links related to what we're doing with that soon. Yeah, and then I guess the last thing, in advance of even submitting that Gitcoin grant, we recorded a little product demo video. This is kind of the first real public taste of the software and app and protocol that we've been building quietly, and we're really excited to share that with y'all. Maybe throwing it to the audience, would you want me to do it live, or do you want to watch the YouTube video? Or if you've had enough from me, I'm also happy to just share the YouTube video and we can pass it off to somebody else.
My vote is live. Sometimes YouTube videos don't really work over screen share, and it's fun to hear your voice.
Yeah, let's see it live. Sweet. Fuck it, let's do it live. Thanks, Tim Shaw. Okay, sharing the screen. 2 seconds. Is this all coming through?
Yeah, I see it.
Beautiful.
Get started.
Okay, so this is an unskinned version of the app. We're going to be skinning it to be much more Lootverse themed as we get closer to the event. But really, this is just to show all the kind of user flows. Now, to set the stage, imagine that you have just visited our pop-up armory at Times Square at NFT New York. You've picked up your Loot LARP sword. You're looking at the bottom, on the hilt of it, there's like the Kong Halo chip. And the town crier, who is like an NPC actor that we've hired, is telling you that you want to use the Loot LARP app as a companion to your items. The Loot LARP app basically serves as a quest journal. Think of it almost like the Pip-Boy in Fallout, where it's keeping track of all your quests and it's telling you what you need to do next, right? So you've gone to the website and you're here at this page. So this page is basically just a simple intro prologue page. There's a carousel here where there's different kind of narrative background, just like what to expect, rules of the game, welcome to the Lootverse, right? So you hit Connect Wallet. We've got a standard wallet integration. We're also using Wallet Connect and a variety of other integrations. You jump in, and if you haven't created a profile already, then you're prompted to create your profile. This is basically like every EOA wallet that is integrated is, your character sheet, right? So you can use like a photo from your phone or maybe some sort of NFT profile picture, and then you can create your name. From there, you continue. So now you have to actually sync your item with the app. Hold up the hilt of your sword to the screen or to the NFC reader on your phone, and then boom, you're actually pulling the item to be synced with your account. These are all going to be actual names of weapons from Loot Lore. So you hit finish. That actually serves almost like a logged into Battle.net kind of moment, right? Where where, this is all like seen on the blockchain through various signing transactions and whatnot. So once you've done that, you're off to the races. And this tooltip kind of points you to the attunement button on the bottom right. The attunement gesture is the core gesture at the heart of the entire Loot LARP experience, right? So by attunement, we mean you're either scanning your own item, scanning somebody else's item, having your item scanned, or scanning an NFC prop, right? So if you think of what these chips do, they're just like attestation layers. So it proves that something happened in the world and like everybody's signing off on it, right? And there's a variety of other magic that happens in between, but that signing creates the layer of security that we're looking for in a distributed game. So you can imagine that the town crier then is like, okay, adventurer, I have a quest for you, right? They hold out their scroll, there's a little chip on it, you scan the scroll, and then boom, this little hook pops up to help you select the quest that you're looking for, right? There's only one quest, there's the quest of the worthy, so you hit confirm. This little pop-up comes up, and it gives you a sense of what you're expecting for this quest, right? Narrative color in the sense of like pictures, videos, hints, whatever, and just the implications in the story of what you're doing. Some sense of the rewards that could come. Hopefully, we can get up to 12,000 A gold as rewards. Also, NFTs or achievements. So you hit accept. You confirm, everything's minted in the back end, and you get an actual Quest NFT into your wallet, right? So everything in our game is based around this idea of Quest NFTs, right? And a Quest NFT can be thought of almost like a Steam or PlayStation badge, like a trophy for achievements, right? But it's also a choose your own adventure. So it's like a badge with state where you're progressing through a narrative tree of different situations. And, each situation has its own tasks that you must complete. As you complete them, you move on to the next corresponding situation, right? There can also be kind of like forks in the narrative tree where, you complete a task one way, you go down one path, you complete it another way, you go down another path, right? So, Quest of the Worthy is just a toy example that we're giving to show the flow. So maybe the Quest of the Worthy is the quest to become a mage, right? So you, for the first stage, need to actually find the School of Mages and go knock on the door, right? So the window at the top, as we said, has, like a Choose Your Own Adventure, some beautiful art, maybe some videos, or like a map and some hints, right? So you follow the map, you eventually find the School of Mages in real life, you knock on the door and you scan the Halo chip on the door, right? So that actually then automatically progresses your NFT to the next stage, like stage 2 of the quest, right? Because you're now successfully an apprentice, right? So as an apprentice, maybe the headmaster is like, hey, we need more sap from the Tree of Mana. Can you go fetch some for us, all right? So again, another mini scavenger hunt. You're looking around Manhattan. Eventually you find the Tree of Mana. You scan the trunk, and you're on to the third part of the quest. Oh, it's not clicking right now. Anyways, the third part of the quest is perhaps a multiplayer coordination game, right? So the School of Mages only graduates cohorts of like 20 people at a time, right? So you need to convince 20 other players to go down this quest flow to become mages with you, right? So they need to go find the School of Mages. They need to go collect sap from the Tree of Mana as well. And then when they all get to stage 3, then collectively all of you get your NFTs converted to the final achievement stage, saying like certified mage, you're all mages now, right? And that's the final stage. You have like a completed NFT in your wallet from there, right? It's important to note that we're really using this project as an experiment for what Vitalik is calling soulbound NFTs, or non-transferable reputational NFTs, right? So the platform will allow for both fungible tokens and NFTs, but also both transferable NFTs and non-transferable NFTs, right? So we're trying to give quest creators, game designers, the tools for interesting combinations of governance mechanics or gameplay mechanics rather, so they can create compelling experiences. So that's a very simple kind of like scavenger hunt type game. We're also building much more elaborate narrative experiences, mini games. You can think of this almost like a WordPress or Shopify style like extensible platform where each situation will have its own potential like plugin system, where you could get like, okay, I want the battle plugin here in this page. I want the crowd vote in this other page. I want the capture the flag game. And really that's where we open it up to the broader community to be like, hey, let's integrate all our loot derivatives in here. Let's find ways to anchor all of these smart contract experiences in the real world or in these hybrid digi-physical experiences, right? So on that note, I'm pulling down this top area again. We're calling this the interoperability canvas. As we said before, kind of for the MVP, it's like pictures, maps, videos maybe, but we realized that this is actually perfect as an embeddable microsite, right? So we're also building a thin wrapper that integrates with any smart contract, right? We've been in talks with some of the other loot derivative projects about how we can integrate up here, where we could create almost like an Etherscan style interface or just like a bespoke integration with different loot projects to kind of anchor them in other quest flows, right? So maybe as an example, there's like a quest where you kill an ogre and then you get a bunch of components for crafting or some of the commodities from like even like loot realms or something, right? And then the second stage of the quest would be that you need to deposit those in some sort of staking contract that is related to the Loot Realms project. And through that, we can create kind of like inter-project flows. And hopefully this can serve as almost like a Mario Party style world map to connect different experiences. So that's the main quest flow. I'm going to jump back here. As you can see, the homepage then becomes populated with all sorts of quests. So as you wander through, we're hoping that this can become kind of like a persistent thing. Maybe we do these events like in conjunction with like all the major crypto conferences, and it's just like a world that stays alive, right? And that people are co-creating constantly, right? And you could have quests that last maybe months or years, right? Other quests maybe have a very bounded kind of like timer on them where you need to complete them in a few hours, right? But ideally, this is just a store of your personal history as a character, but also helps situate you within this broader immersive world. So the last page relevant to that is the profile page. This is really where we do most of the gamification. As we said, everything in the game is broken down into quest NFTs. So, for example, class system, whether it's, warrior, mage, thief, whatever it is, that could fit in there. You could like become that. Maybe you picked up a skill. Maybe you picked up certain statistics, like you did a quest where you gained intelligence or gained strength. Or even just story-based achievements, like you killed the ogre or you helped the witch. What's nice about breaking it down much more granularly like that is it allows for complex token gating, right? Like you can basically think of these quests as micro-credentials, right? Like you did something and you're instantiated into the collective history or the lore of Loot LARP from there, right? So perhaps some quests only open up to you once you have killed the ogre, if you are already like a member of the School of Mages, and if you've helped the witch, right? So, if you've played RPGs, you understand how that goes. But even beyond just gating at the root level of the quests, we're creating it so that you can open up new branching paths within other quests, right? So it's like maybe there's like a special option to complete a quest a certain way only if you have killed the ogre and helped the witch, right? The achievements is just another view on the quest NFTs, right? And then right here, we're calling this the item flex page. We're actually adding in a metadata explorer right here as well. So your items can level up, they can gain experience, something that we need to really think through how we integrate with the Rift potentially. And then also visual flexes on your items as they level up and complete different achievements. Yeah, that's everything. I feel like I maybe rushed through that, so happy to take any questions at this point.
Are the quest states and trees encoded in the quest NFTs themselves in the contract?
Can you elaborate on
just like if I have a quest NFT and as I'm moving through that quest, is all of that state information about where I am in the quest encoded in the smart contract itself?
I need to double check with our engineers. I believe the quest NFT will be kind of like it's just like a positional marker on it, but
Cool.
then there's like a JSON spec that we're working on that contains all the relevant let's say color and like hooks and whatnot for quests.
Nice. Sounds cool.
Thanks.
Who's creating all of this content, and is that created all by your team? Are there plans to open this up to like community, like UGC, user-generated content for this?
Absolutely. So on our roadmap is like right after we finish the MVP, we want to build a low-code editor, right? And our goal is to make this into, let's call it like a persistent, like Pokemon Go style world thing. We're starting with canned experiences so that we can kind of showcase like maybe the edge cases or just like more curated like quests, right? But we really want to work with the community to like build this out and also integrate with other projects and yeah, open it up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Dude here. Just super awesome stuff. It's pretty ripe for, there's so many places I can see like us working together as far as Rift and Lootlarp. I think it's just got me really excited. So thanks for showing me this.
Absolutely. Thank you for building something so amazing. If there's nobody else, I will wrap this. We're also going to be posting this video, the video we recorded on our Twitter soon. We'll share all the links in the general chat. And as always, if we're hanging around. Feel free to DM any of us. We have the little Lootlarp sword avatars. I am Turtle Monkey on here. There's also Biz Khalifa and Alberta 147 and Dr. Datamosh. So yeah, hit us up and thank you for letting us come share.
Thank you. So awesome. And the Discord is in the general chat as well, if y'all want to join the Discord.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Andrew.
Am I gonna have to dox myself to get a Warhammer in the mail?
So Michelle, we're flying you out to New York. You're
Nice. Exciting stuff, guys. Looks really cool.
Good job.
All right, cool. Let's go to Super Cool.
All right. Let me just get my screen share set up. Okay. Cool. One sec. Okay. So I presented. All right. Anyways, I'm Danube in real life. Dylan. I'm one of the co-founders of Super Cool, and we're working on a platform that lets people create on-chain NFTs, both the art and then the abilities of their NFTs. So you could create characters, monsters, etc. And our second focus is to let people bring these NFTs into different games. We presented to Times Square back in early February about what we were working on, and then kind of in the interim went to East Denver, did a lot of hacking there, and we released a new feature to testnet 2 days ago called Trait Bags. But I'm going to back up and just give a refresher. I'm not sure who was here when we first presented, so I'll just go through pretty quick the refresher of what super cool is, what we do, and then I just want to demo the new trait bags feature and show that to everybody and talk about what's next. So, what is super cool? We're a protocol and no-code engine for people to create the NFTs that inhabit user-generated worlds, and for game developers to interoperate those assets and creations across Web3 games. So, as I said, we're tackling two problems. The first problem is it's pretty hard to create an NFT unless you are technically or artistically skilled. We want to lower that barrier to entry so that anyone can come in and just easily create a character or monster or a magical item or some other NFT without having to know how to code Solidity or without being a skilled artist. The second thing we're working on is interoperability for these NFTs across games and virtual worlds. I think this is also something that Loop in general is just working on, which is very cool. But for most games, the state of things now is if you own an item in a game, you can only use it in that game. You can't go to any other game with it. It would be like if I bought a car in real life and then I could only drive it in my neighborhood. We kind of think that's just sort of broken. You should be able to take the NFTs and assets you own to the different games you play. So we're building three major components for this. We have the interoperability protocol, which is how you can bridge these assets across games. We have the creation engine, which is how you can create this stuff. And then we have something, this is what we built during ETH Denver, which is the community engagement tool. I'm mostly going to just talk about the interoperability protocol and creation engine. I'll also show a little just quick thing of the engagement tool as well. So when somebody creates stuff, that's the final object. We're calling them super cool stuff. That's the final NFT. It's composed of two parts. The first part is pixel art that's stored on chain. So you can come in and draw something, and we actually store the entire pixel art on chain. And the second part is what we call trait bags, and this is what we just launched to testnet 2 days ago. And trait bags are a collection of category-specific traits that describe the mechanics for how your NFT should behave. So you could think of it like the abilities and powers of your creation. So we have the art, and we have the mechanics, and then they get combined together into stuff. So we have some of the example mechanics or like traits that might be attached to your NFT here, but I think it's actually more fun to show it in the app. So I'm actually going to skip this slide and I think just jump right into demoing what we have. So first I just want to show some of the art people have been making with Pixely. That's the pixel art component. So these are things that people have been drawing. I guess a couple of these were drawn last night or today. But there's a lot of content here that people have made. There was a robot that minted a bunch of Buffy corns, so when you see these are actually from the robot, whoever that is. But then other people are drawing things like here's a Pikachu. Well, here's a bunch of the robots. The robot went wild again. But to draw stuff, you come into here and we have our on-chain drawing UI. So I think this is some of what we showed before. But you can come in here. This is a Buffy corn template, which was just from ETH Denver. This is the mascot of ETH Denver, so we added a template to let people draw Buffy corns. But here's where you can come and draw the Pixely, which is the pixel art component of your creation. Then the new thing that we launched to testnet 2 days ago, it's not yet available on mainnet, are the trait bags. And this is how you can go and create the abilities and mechanics for your creation. So the way we're thinking of what we want to do to integrate with Loop is to let people create adventures, monsters, items. We really want to expand it to create all of the fixtures that you might want in a virtual world. Our plan is to start with adventurers. So you would come in here and you would select that you're minting a hero, or we actually might break this down on the top into mage, hunter, and warrior, the 3 adventurer types, and then the 2 in-canon monster types, demons and dragons. Those would be maybe the 5 types of things that you can start out creating. And I'll just walk through an example that we would have here. All these traits are just in our test world, so we need to filter them down and make them conform a bit more to the loot world. But I could come in here and say I want to mint a hero. This next row is the types of traits you could add. So I could say what profession or race are they. They're an elvish archer. I could add some background traits that describe sort of their purpose and goals. So this elvish warrior is honor-bound to avenge their brother. What gear and artifacts they have? Well, I don't think that's actually... These aren't really gear. Let's hop over here. Relationships, reputation and disposition. Heroes never run. Background, has a love affair with the spider goddess. And troubles enemies and foes. Hunted by the world's greatest sword fighter. So here we have a lot of these are sort of like background traits that describe some of the origin of your character. We're going to have some more that would describe abilities like, do they have eagle-eye vision, or do they have fists of steel? But after I've come in here and selected a bunch of traits, we have what our trait bag would look like, and you can go and mint it. So the flow would be, come in here, mint your trait bag, draw what your creation looks like, and then combine them together. The pixely is the drawing, and the trait bag is this trait bag here, into super cool stuff. And when you combine them, you give it a name, and then you can enter some backstory or lore to describe a little more detail your creation. And so the lore is just free-form text. For a monster, you could do an encyclopedia entry on the monster, or it could be the background of your character and where they grew up and their history. And mint them all as a super cool stuff NFT. So this is just what we have on Mumbai testnet right now in OpenSea. So we minted a couple things here. Our plans, we're trying to go live to mainnet in a few weeks. And as I said, we're working to integrate this to launch into the loot universe so that all of our traits fit with loot. Trait bags will be launched in generations, so we're going to have trait bags that work in different worlds. So eventually we're going to do probably sci-fi or cyberpunk, but the first world is fantasy world geared towards loot. And I think one thing I'm super interested in from the loot community, we have like 850 traits that we've written, and we have to go through a big like filtering and editing process. But we're also super interested in involving the loot community in the definition of these traits so that we could have community members actually create some of the traits themselves. Each trait has an address that specifies who created that trait, so we can do that attribution of if a community member added a trait, they will be listed as the person that created that trait. So we're super interested in getting that process started of involving the community and defining some of the traits of this loot world. So if anyone's interested in that, reach out. We'll also post some links in the loot server about this. And second thing besides the trait bags, if you're working on a game and you're interested in being able to use super cool stuff in your game, we'd also love to chat. We're working on partnering with some game devs to let people bring the characters, monsters, items, etc. that they create into different virtual worlds. Last thing I mentioned are engagement engines. So this is a little segue to something that's not the stuff or not the trait bags or the pixelies, but at ETH Denver, we built this leaderboard where basically when somebody draws something, they can go and share it to Twitter. And we have a script that scrapes Twitter on a schedule to find the tweets that people have made that share their Pixely NFTs. And it looks at the engagement that those NFTs get. So we count comments, retweets, likes, and based on the engagement you get, you are issued SST, which is a super cool social token. So this is just kind of like a popularity contest for the drawings that people have made. So we were running a Buffycorn drawing contest, but people have been drawing a bunch of other stuff as well, and then sharing it and getting retweets and engagement with it. So we think this is, well, it's fun just to sort of see the leaderboard, like what stuff is at the top of the leaderboard. That's always kind of fun. And the second thing is we think this is a pretty nice sort of engagement mechanic for projects. So we're also working to make this something where other projects can run their own leaderboards or contests where you could say, we want people to draw, if you have like some type of NFT, we could have a template and you want people to draw and share their creations from this template, and then we'll have a leaderboard for that. And so if you're interested in exploring that as an engagement mechanic, we'd also love to chat. So yeah, that's sort of covered a lot, but just the stuff we have and we're trying to do more of is the trait bags, getting the loot community involved in defining some of the traits. And if you're a game dev, we'd love to chat. Or if you're building any kind of like virtual world or experience where you want to integrate user-created NFTs. And if you're interested in maybe setting up a leaderboard where people can draw stuff that fits inside your ecosystem, we also have this tool here. So let me hop back real quick. We have some links. We have our website. You can follow us on Twitter. Join our Discord. We have a Medium page and then our OpenSea here. I can share this slide deck. Just drop it in the chat, probably. But does anyone have any questions or comments?
I just have to make a meta comment that I'm so inspired by how much work is happening right now around the ecosystem to help lore-driven communities find ways to bring themselves to life. I mean, both of these presentations today are in that same spirit. I know I'm obviously deeply thinking about this, and so are many folks across the community. So I love what's happening here. It feels like we're at the very beginning of a movement. Lore and content and media and storytelling type stuff hasn't even really made it to Web3 yet. So the work that we're all doing is so foundational. So it's super cool to see this.
Yeah, I'm very excited about how all this stuff can compose together. That's one thing I think is also really great about the loot ecosystem, that a lot of people are building different things with an eye towards composing with each other. It just amplifies the effects of each project.
Yeah, congratulations on getting this out. This looks like a lot of work, but it looks fantastic, and I can't wait to try and incorporate it into the virtual world that I'm working on.
Thanks. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I'll stop the screen share. But definitely, you can DM me, you can join our Discord, you can chat with us through any of the billion ways that we have Telegrams, all that jazz.
Can you maybe land us on like one specific call to action in terms of what you?
Yeah, sure. I'd say the specific call to action right now is if you're interested in creating some of the traits or getting involved in defining traits, just honestly, probably best thing is join our Discord. So I'll post a Discord share link. But yeah, if you have any interest in like defining what are some of the abilities that a hero might have, or what are the some of the types of demons that there might be, join our Discord, drop us a message. I think the process for this will probably be a little informal. We're going to try to turn this into a bit more of a structured platform later for the creation of these additional traits, but I think for now it's probably just going to be riffing with the community and brainstorming, and then taking the cool ideas that people have and letting them add them into the trait bag platform. So let me share a Discord invite in should I just drop that in general?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Oops. All right, sorry, I'm copying that right now. Yeah, and that's all I have.
Great.
Really exciting stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Dylan.
Hey Jesse, I didn't want to make you guys formally launch if you're not ready, but if you want to even do a quiet launch or something, or not a launch, there's a quiet hello to the folks here.
Yeah.
No pressure if you don't want to.
We're gearing up, and we do have we do have stuff that we can show, and I'd love to. I don't have anything really prepared, but I can just kind of walk through what we've been doing. I'm super excited to hear both of those presentations. I think there's really interesting integration opportunities for what we're working on with just about everything, because I think that's kind of the theory that we're testing with Autumn Luton, and I'll share and just kind of walk through the interface that we've released. We're doing basically a couple of like 1 week long pre-released sort of open but quiet about it test runs, and so I'll show that in a little bit. But just to give some context about why we're building things the way we are, which is kind of more off-chain than this community than Loot has been known for. Our kind of central thesis is that there's in order to increase the value of some of these things, we need more attention than we have supply of loot. I mean, obviously we have synthetic loot and we have more loot, so there is a supply there. But as soon as we start to talk about the OG loot, it feels like there's a limited supply, and it feels like an exclusive community, and there's a barrier to entry there. And so we're building something whose primary audience is non-crypto, but we're using these NFTs as like merchandise for those stories and for that canon or for that universe. And theorizing that selling merchandise for a creative project can support a lot of creative projects just by kind of selling NFT merchandise to the top 2% of people who get super, super into it. And so Loot kind of came out, and it's sort of like pre-made merchandise for something that doesn't exist yet is one way that you could look at it, and that's kind of how we're looking at it. So with that, I will show, let's see, can I share just the, no, not the screen, the application, okay. All right, are people seeing this Cherished Heart Temple? Yes. Cool. So this is an example of sort of one of the pages, and I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because one of the things we're testing is how clear things are to people just kind of stumbling upon it. But I'll go through it enough to get to hopefully get some people interested enough to come figure out the rest of it on their own, and then and then get super confused because we didn't explain it well enough in the UI, and come tell us what's confusing. So this is a story in progress. The basic idea is that there's a bunch of guilds in this town called Avenlutin, which is kind of a mangling of adventure loot town, which is how we came up with that name. And this is a story in progress, and these stories are scheduled ahead of time. So we scheduled a week of stories, and we committed to those on chain. So the commitment to all of the content and all of the stories is like on chain right now, but no one knows how they're going to turn out until certain blocks in the future are mined, because those block hashes are input to the script that generates the stories that are scheduled for that time. So the Bard is scribbling right now because our server is figuring out what this next. It's running the script now that there has been a block mined, and it's gonna hopefully, if everything works out, it's gonna show up with the next piece of this story. It'll be another one of these kind of lines. They arrived at the Boreal City where they were blocked by some journeyal outskirts. So this amulet here is a reference to this content is pulled directly from the loot contract, and so this really is the loot amulet. Meaning that any bag with an amulet in it is kind of merchandise for this story. And if you're interested in this character and you want to get all of the, collect all of the loot that character has, that gives sort of buy pressure to loot bags with amulet in them. And so one of the things, we've kind of shown this before, but one of the new bits that we made are these character pages, which I'm pretty excited about. This gives just more context to this character. They have stats, which may or may not be meaningful, depending on how the script interprets things. And they have loot. So this paladin has collected Grave Wand and Amulet so far. And over the course of the week, they might end up collecting more loot. They might end up gaining some skills, and then these are the two stories that this character has been involved in, and we can click on those. And this is the one that's in progress, and this is one that was a success. We are auctioning each NFT, each of these stories as an NFT, sort of as like a record of the deeds that people can purchase to support the guild or to support the characters or whatever. We've also implemented this like kind of buy a 50th share, loot share of the adventure in complete Monopoly money. This is totally off chain, and it's a very hacky sort of implementation. It's all in local storage right now, so you go to a new browser and everything's different. But it's kind of fun to bet on these things, basically buy a 50th share and see what the return is. And so I bet 50 on all of these and got 100 back for that one, but this great success, I got 150 back. And then these stories, which are the next one, which my strategy has just been to buy a 50 share of everything, and these outcomes are unknown yet. I'll lose that 50 if they fail, but I'll get the 100 or 150 if they succeed. So yeah, a lot of stuff, and we're going to be running a few of these kind of week-long tests, and we're going to try to string them closer and closer together. But we'll implement stuff, sort of rounds of feedback in between each of them, and then at some point we're going to be using Kryn as a vote for what changes in the script happen for the next iteration of the next like chapter of these stories. So that'll be fun, but we're not quite there yet. At this point, what I would ask is, go to avenlutin.squad.games, and I'll put that in the I'll put that in general here after we're done. Just kind of click around, see. Let me know what's confusing. Let me know what's exciting and interesting. Let me know what you're curious about but can't quite find. Let me know if there are things it feels like you should be able to do, but you either can't figure out how to do them or you just haven't thought about that and haven't implemented them yet. We would love to hear all of that kind of feedback. And you can give me that feedback either in a direct message or you can join our Discord, and I'll put that link in general as well. So yeah, that's where we're at. How do I stop this thing? Stop sharing. There we go.
Hey Jesse, do you guys want to set up a Outpost channel, and maybe you can do sort of
sure.
Rehash of what's going down in Oven Luton? Once every moment, every block, every day. Right.
Yeah.
If it happens, you can be almost the town crier of it.
Sure. Yeah, we'll probably be on a cadence of we'll probably come in here and announce the changes as we go through our weekly tests. That'd be great. Yeah.
Cool.
And then I guess also for this audience, I'd love to integrate with as many other projects as possible, because that's kind of the theory, right? Anything we integrate with kind of becomes merch for this for these stories. So anyone who has any ideas for your own project of how to integrate with this, I'd love to figure out how to do that.
Are the character pages that you showed, are those characters NFTs?
They are not. We've got that question quite a bit, and we've started to theorize about how to do that. And we kind of think they'd be like baseball cards, where at the end of a season or something, each character would become mintable as the character at that point in their career. And there would be a card for that. And this is, maybe you have a card before a character got the ridiculously powerful sword that ended up making them the most popular hero in the game, and that's like, it feels like their rookie card or something like that. So yeah, we're definitely thinking about that, and would love to. I mean, I think honestly, we just kind of hacked in characters and traits and stuff, but we'd love to talk about making the characters on super cool stuff, making them sort of have a bag of traits and a character image. That'd be super cool.
As we talked about a bit before, and we've moved our project a little farther along to give some of that.
Yeah, that's great.
See, this is really cool. Quick question.
Sure.
How long do the stories last? Like, it sounds like it's over multiple blocks. Is it like a variable thing? Can you do it?
Yeah. So the smart contracts that we have managed scheduling, and we call the data structure a narrator. And so the narrators can be configured to run very quickly, or it can be configured to run over any time frame. You just give it the number of seconds that the story should last and a number of seconds between story starts. So what we have right now for this first test is a 23-hour story and a 24-hour sort of period between story starts. So there's an hour at the end of the story before another one has begun. We could overlap them. I kind of see this as being a platform in the future where anybody can kind of make their own narrator script and their own UI that looks at the sort of generates their own stories in different genres, or in maybe a much more loot specific canon. We started all of this before really diving super deeply into the loot verse, so we have a lot of maybe loot adjacent canon, and we haven't implemented the what are they, the leaves or all of the loot canvas specifically, but someone could totally. Well, I would love to get the contracts to a point where anybody could make their own script and just sort of throw it into those contracts, make it a platform for this kind of thing. Did that answer your question? I feel like I rambled somewhere else, but
That was awesome.
Sure.
Well, the theme for today was lore protocols and lore tech and
Yeah.
playing with lore. I love it. Any other feedback you're looking for from the community, Jesse?
No, just jump in, look around. Let me know about integration ideas that you have, or questions about what's even happening in there.
Right on, thank you. Andrew, did we have anybody else formally on the agenda?
Excuse me. No, we had spells. They pushed it to next week, so hopefully we'll hear from that team next week.
And there should be some really exciting Realms updates next week too.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say there's a community call tomorrow for Realms.
Yeah, right. There's a community call tomorrow for Realms at, I think it's 3:00 Pacific time. I think that's right. Check out the postings channel.
I actually forgot an announcement on our end. We're doing a Twitter Spaces with Blockbuster DAO tomorrow. For those of you who have met us in person, one of our friends, Sarah McKenzie, has been kind of filming a documentary about decentralized storytelling and kind of following what we've been building with LootLarp. So it's somewhat led by her. We're going to be sitting in on it. I'll share the link in general in case anybody's curious about how this stuff can relate to decentralized film. That'll be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Can I make a quick announcement? Vis-a-vis the Rift. So we're right now finalizing work on this historical XP component that we're doing, which essentially is going to let a bunch of, every loot bag, unloot bag, and junk bag that's participated through on-chain activities to be able to claim experience for doing those things. And I just wanted to say that if you have any ideas for any projects that use loot that you think should be included, may be too late to get to season 1, but definitely for season 2 of Historical XP. I'd love to get everyone's feedback on that stuff to just include more and more projects. Thanks.
That historical XP stuff's going to be fun. It's going to be like a walk down memory lane to some of those week 1 chaos mints that everybody did. It's going to be fun just for them too. Some of the even silly ones or even the ruggy ones might be kind of fun.
Is there a website? We don't have a website yet. We're getting we do have an internal dashboard that we're working on right now, which is really fascinating. Just kind of seeing all these projects play by play, you get to see how many actual loot bags participated throughout these different events. Crypts and Caverns is this huge success, but looking through the data, only 88 bags actually participated in minting Crypts and Caverns, which is a really pretty fascinating stat. So that's locked in because they've all been minted. So only 88 bags out of all the loot bags are actually getting experience for Crypts and Caverns, which I think is pretty neat. But yeah, each one has its own makeup of different bags. Abstract Loot is one of the original ones, and that one has nearly 5,000 bags that participated in that mint. So it's going to be really interesting seeing the history of each bag play out once this is released. So I'm really excited, and I'll have more details on that next week. But really, just any projects that y'all love or care about or want to get included, we've kind of got a pipeline going that's going to make it pretty easy to sort of include that in the future releases of XP.
Tim, shall it be fun once that's released if we dedicated one of these calls to just going through all those different projects and kind of sequencing it and just reminiscing a bit.
Yeah, a rugometer.
The rugometer.
Which reminds me, we do need to update the Loot website at some point. Luckily, the homepage is all amazing stuff, but the resources page definitely still has some of the remnants of the early days of permissionless paralysis, where we put some of the some of the Ruggy projects made it to that list. It's probably time for us to delete those so no one gets distracted.
Totally. And so I hope in this way, at least those that have been rugged at least get the experience, get rug experience out of it, and hopefully it actually, so that's what I'm trying to bring to this.
Well, in the Loot spirit, many of them were actually free mints too, so maybe our use of the word rug is actually more a joke than anything else, but funny to think back on that first crazy week. Cool. Well, dude, we're excited for you to do a formal presentation. There's something really sort of foundationally important about what you guys are working on, and once we find the kind of the fit and the right fit for the Lootverse, the whole point of what you're doing is going to be extremely powerful for us and extremely powerful, I think, for the rest of the ecosystem. This idea that engaged people can advance their NFTs forward, and the people who just sit on the sidelines can watch from the sidelines, but that the people in the game who are actually participating in the communities, participating in governance, participating in developing the ecosystem and advancing it forward are the ones who are benefiting from that. I think that's a really, really big foundational idea for this whole ecosystem.
Yeah, totally.
Anybody want to do some show and tell?
Yeah,
I can probably wrap and do some stuff, but yeah, standard combo. If you want to do show and tell, or if anybody else wants to do show and tell, please do.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm standard combo. I'm a game dev. I'm really excited to share what I've been working on for several weeks now. I mean, it's so cool today. All these projects, all these demos, such awesome stuff. Wow, so cool. Let me get my screen up here. All right, so this is a small spoiler about what I've been working on, okay? Because I haven't been, this isn't ready yet, but I want to take the opportunity, since it was a lighter week, to do that. Thanks for calling me out, Tim. So this is a procedurally generated dungeon based on one of the Crypt and Caverns maps, and yeah, it's very basic right now. It's have the treasure, but it doesn't do anything. There might be NPCs here. Oh, there they are. Like I said, it's proc gen, so you never know. Yeah, I'm just going to take a look around and see. So yeah, this still needs some work. Let me see. One detail, this is multiplayer, right? So, real-time multiplayer. So that's an important detail. And another thing I wanted to show. So you saw this guy, right? And armor has been a challenge for this project because loot comes with the canonical ideas that you have to bring in. So that can be very challenging when you're doing the top layer of application layer, right? You have to respect the data. And so armor has been a real challenge for me. But I think I cracked it just this week. And let me see here. So yeah, I was able to get armor working. And one of the details is this is all user-generated content. Everything in core is very UGC-centric. And so this is kind of the philosophy behind this project as well. I'd love to do a larger demo later once I put all the pieces together. And there's a lot more that I can't share right now because the studio asked me to keep a lot of the details confidential. So yeah, I'd love to get more into that later. But like I was saying, this is user-generated content. So the philosophy behind this project is that these would all be pieces that people can then use to build games. and so I'm kind of creating a foundation of gameplay pieces. And if anybody would like to test this right now, you can, but because there's confidential elements, you would have to sign an NDA, so that would only be for people who are not anonymous, right? So, if you're comfortable signing an NDA, I would love to have a few testers come in and try this out, and give me feedback. But once I'm able to share everything, then this would be open for everybody, and anybody could jump in and play around. The project doesn't have a name yet, so that is an interesting part. That if anybody who is a dev who wants to participate and help out or build some of the games with these pieces, you could help pick the name for the project. The project doesn't have a name yet. Thanks so much for letting me share today, and send me a direct message if you would like to test.
What you just shared is such a perfect metaphor for the Lootverse that it's just like, oh wait, one more thing. Here's a full playable loot game I'm working on.
Well, I wouldn't call it fully playable yet.
Well, that I'm working towards. What you just shared, for people who are listening in on this call later, pop into the Discord. Maybe we should get some screenshots in here or something, because we just watched a loot character get equipped with armor and run around some dungeons in real time. So cool. Standard combo, definitely keep leaking, sharing, sneak peeking that stuff into the Discord, seeing it come to life visually like that. So
I will. I'll get some screenshots through. Thanks.
If anyone else wants to do show and tell, mic is open, so that's going to be a hard one to follow.
Quick one.
Yeah, go for it, Max.
Yeah, probably won't top that. But this is actually a loot lore project, but it's a tool for the loot community. So I joined Loot, let's say a month ago, so not too long ago, and I've been joining other Discords, and I realized from other people talking in my experience that the hardest thing about starting is just saying, like, where do I start? There's all these projects around, but I don't really know what people need help with, and people might post something, but then it kind of gets buried in a bunch of posts somewhere. So there isn't a permanent place where all of these projects can be listed, kind of like an internal job board. So that's what I've made. So over the past few days. So I'm just going to share my screen, and I'll just show you what it looks like. So let's see here. I'll just share my whole screen. Okay. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's just called the quest board. So I was inspired by those RPG boards that you find in taverns. It's like the big wooden board, and like everything is like just a different card. So this isn't finished yet, but you can just click on that, and then you can see posts, and you can write a bunch. And all it really is just an interface to an Airtable form. So you can just fill it all out, whatever it is. You can select what roles you need help with. You can write in other ones if you want to. Down here, describe it. You can do markup, or you can just copy and paste from somewhere else. Look at who you need to reach out to in the Loot Discord. Make sure it looks good, and then you can just submit it. I think I missed one. Actually, I'll just remove that. But then you'll see that it just posts automatically. So that one that we just made, it should be right there. So that's the whole thing. It's going to take me just a few more days to build it out, but then once it's out, anyone can just use it and post stuff, and then the Loot community has a centralized place to have all of the opportunities. But that's it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's really cool, Max. I know there's been some chatter about that, so amazing to you for just taking the initiative and just running with it.
Yeah, cool, thanks.
I forget if I saw it in there because you just kind of speed ran it, but was there a bounty or reward or some sort of section for that?
No, I thought about doing that, but I just wanted to keep it super simple, test if it would even be useful. So, there's a lot of places it can go, but the bounty could be there. Like if it's an actual job that you want to post, that's doable. I could just add a field in the Airtable form.
I think let's do that, because I think in the spirit of loot, like, for example, like, hey, we need something for Loot Foundation. A bounty is one piece of Genesis mana, or the Banners crew needs help with some lore, and the bounty is one banner or something. We can be creative about it. It doesn't need to be jobs per se, but I think that might help give it a little bit of specificity and life. That's really cool.
Interesting. So are projects willing to just like pay people little bits of tokens or whatever to incentivize people to do stuff?
Yes, for sure. And also, as a loot DAO comes into play, I mean, the loot treasury itself has like, 200 ETH plus a bunch of bags and more. It hasn't actually turned the corner to taking any action yet, but we're working on some steps towards that. But also the projects have treasuries, and the projects are DAOs, and we're all working together. And so doing that with like prizes and rewards in the form of loot native assets could be pretty fun.
Okay, well, form field coming then. Thanks, Tim.
Sweet.
Just want to say super impressive, Max. Thanks for sharing. And I think...
Max, sorry for one more idea on there, but why don't we make an outpost for that called quest board, like you said? And then maybe every time a new one's posted, it can pop up in a read-only feed. Or maybe each one can turn into a thread that people can comment on the threads.
Great idea. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
You could manually do that for now if you want, if you don't want to formally create a Discord connection.
Yeah, I could just manually do it. But yeah, it's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, and we can put it up by postings.
Yeah.
And website suggestions is up there. So maybe, when we talk about updating website and I think part of that is like, how can we integrate this?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm more than happy to make it work in wherever it needs to be, basically. If it needs to be on the Loop website, then that's cool with me.
Awesome.
Good work, Max. Thanks for making that happen.
Yeah, thanks.
Man, what a span of presentations today. Really cool. Anybody else want to show and tell? No? All right, well, let's call it then. We have an exciting week ahead, and last week was actually incredibly exciting, too. We didn't talk about the Crypt, but the Crypt game was incredibly fun last week and is actually continuing to happen in exciting and to-be-shared later ways. Banners had an amazing event this week. If you want to hop into the Banners Discord, there's some follow-ups from the battlefield that happened last week, or this week, and I'm sure there'll be another run of that soon. Realms is working on a bunch of exciting stuff right now, including advancements to the Atlas, lore being added to the Atlas, and a mini-game soon to launch. Genesis Project has had a bunch of updates in the past week and a ton of energy and lore around the community. And yeah, across the board, just the Lootverse continues to thrive in this slow and steady, unpresuming, but really exciting way. Andrew, any
awesome.
final words?
No. Plus one. GN, have a good rest of your week. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, I did get a question from Ira Foodmore that I could show. I mean, this isn't in the subject. This is kind of adjacent, though. So there is a question about game development here. How do you interpret the geometry of crypts and caverns? So I can talk about this subject.
Yeah, cool. Go for it. We can make it the unofficial coda to the end of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, go for it. Mike's yours.
Okay, so using Paint here, and let's see. So let's say that it's something like this. So I'm just gonna, roughly do something. So if you were interpreting crypts like that. Like these are the tiles, right? This is not a very good color choice. Okay. Is everyone able to see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were interpreting the tiles like this, what you end up with is a very like PlayStation 1 quality of environment. Because when the artist is creating the tile, they don't have as much power to say how things look, and you can then start coming up with rules about like when tiles touch each other. You pick this one, you pick that one. You end up with a bunch of different alternatives for tiles, and then you're procedurally picking which one. So that's an approach. But a cleaner way to do that is to recombine the data. So instead of picking that as a tile, I'll leave that up. Use green. What you do is you break each tile into 4s and recombine them with the phase shifted by 1 on both axes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just seems like you're using a different level of granularity to give yourself more leeway in terms of how you visualize it.
Yeah, you have to you take the resolution of the data and you double it. You break it down into quarters, but then you recombine those quarters into a new set of tiles that have like these L shapes, right, and corners, and you end up with a tile set that has 16 possible permutations, right? Because it's a Boolean, so you have like four possible values, right? Here, and there, and it can be either 0 or 1. So you end up with a tile set of 16 different dungeon shapes, and then it's you get the same layout in the end, but you get very nice smooth corners and stuff.
Sure. And are you pulling in like the POIs and doors as well yet, or is that something that is still in the works?
I'm not sure about that. I have to check.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to mention about Geo.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. All right. Now we can officially call it.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.